Hello everyone, Ace here, and today I decided to tackle a bit of a question that I have received a couple of times, and that is, of course, how I make and edit my videos. So I'm going to be delving into the subject and going into detail. First and foremost, let's go over some of the equipment that I use. I do use both a capture card for recording stuff like from the Nintendo Switch or from the GPD Win. Specifically, I use an AverMedia LGX or LiveGamer Extreme. Now, this thing does require a USB 3.0 to work properly, but you plug it into you plug your HDMI cord into this thing, and you should be able to actually therefore get some sort of image here. So let's test it out here. Let me first turn on my Switch just to get it working here. Okay, good, good. Now, okay, so you can now see that it is showing the screen of the Switch on this capture card software called RE Central 3 here. However, I'm not recording it. Well, not using this. I usually prefer to use other recording software. In this case, though, I use the GeForce Experience ability to record. So yeah, and you can also, of course, turn the microphone on or off. For the purposes of this specific video that I will be testing here, I will be turning the microphone off. Now, I am going to begin recording, and I will turn off the other recording software that I'm using while I show you what I'm talking about. But yeah, all you have to do is, of course, get it set to full screen here, and you should be good to go. But first, let's get that taken care of, and I will turn off the video that I'm going to be, or the other video software I'm recording with. Okay, everyone, we're back to the video editing process now that we've actually got the recording all taken care of. It did take us some time, about 27 minutes worth of recording, and to get that. I decided to play one level or one quest of Monster Hunter Double Cross here, as you can see, and like I said, it took about 27 minutes in all. But now comes the part of editing. Now, the first thing you want to do, or the first thing I do, is I usually have an intro, an outro. In this particular case, for my intro, I usually, in this case, I'll actually use, let's get this out of the way, I'll usually use, in this case, the BBC documentary fail video, its intro, because it actually gives me a very easy start area. All I have to do is just go to about here, and I can quite easily have the intro there. I can, if the volume is, of course, too loud, I can, of course, change the volume to be much quieter. As you can see, the volume's now at 50%. And there we go. Now, to get the video footage I have here, what we're going to need is to begin our editing, and we'll start the editing by going over here to about where the quest actually begins. We'll actually start it where the quest actually begins, just for the sake of it. Or you know what? We'll start it here, I guess, because this actually offers us a good opportunity to show you some editing techniques here. So, all we have to do now is put in a transition. This makes it less jarring for the audience when you're going from your title screen or something like that to something like this. It's usually most effective, I find, when dealing with slower paced sections. If you're doing something very fast paced, like for example some of my trailer videos, I do more faster scenes, it's usually better to just let it cut straight from one to another, I found. But doing this allows us to make it look like this. See how natural that looks. So that is the trick there. Now, another thing we will want to do to make it look even better, or sound even better, is change the fade-in audio. This way, it gives it even more pronounced fade-in, so it seems even more natural. See? Okay, so now that we've got that settled, let's talk about some other edits. Now, I am going to save the project for now, and let's talk about, for instance, some of the more advanced edits, like you see in some of my Let's Play videos. Well, the intro, I actually usually make my intro, record the intro first and do it separately from the rest of the Let's Play video. And in this case, for instance, take the Empire Earth video. It takes a few different tricks to get it to work. First, the sound effect here has to match up perfectly with this stopping or hitting the screen, as it were. Now, you might notice that the sound is actually a little bit off here. This is some sort of odd bug that I've noticed with Wondershare Filmora, which is, by the way, the program I'm using. It costs about $60, which I understand is expensive, but it is, if you're going to be making videos, I've found it to be well worth it. I've tried a few other editors in the past, like VideoPad, and the issue I've had with, for instance, VideoPad is if you make a lot of edits, it tends to really chew up the CPU, or the processing power, and brings the whole video making process to a crawl, at least in my experience. So while I have used it in the past, I now prefer this program, Wondershare Filmora. Anyways, so to get these edits done properly, here's what you need to do. First, you need to use an image like this, Snapshot 13, because I have taken it as a snapshot. I'll show you how to do that with this. But then you do the green screen effect right here. Then you set the intensity level. I usually set it to 5. Now that's the first shot. You will then want to give it an animation. Usually, it's and to zoom is what I use for my effect. Like this. Now, you do have to time this, and the reason that you want to time this is so you can create a second snapshot. We'll set it here, and the animation there is going to be a much more simpler one. It is going to be fade. But because they both overlap in the exact same area, the effect looks far more natural when you do it this way. Okay, but yeah, see what I mean? So because the one overlapped the other, or they both overlapped each other perfectly, it looked far more natural. At least until at least for the most part. But in any case, that brings me to this bit, which you do have to, I've found, and this is the tricky part, match these up as close as possible for the effect to really work. But anyways, so we will get off of here, delete both of those. I will exit this without saving, which brings us back to here. Now, if you want to make edits, like I said, it depends on the sort of situation, if you wanted to go for a fast cut or a fade. But in my experience, use the fade for slower sections and use the cut or the quick cut where there's no special transitions for more hectic moments, or if you want the video to be faster paced in that particular area. Now, something else to keep in mind is that something else that I do is the outros. Now, the outro itself, the way it works, or the way I have it set up, is similar to the intro. So in this case, we go to where we want the video to stop. This should be good here. We'll pull it back to there. And then we will put in a fade out sound. And then transition fade. Now make sure that the fade is center. This will make the transition even better in my experience. But yeah. Now my outro video is of course all pre-made, and it also, in addition to this, has the fade in and fade out effects along with the this one here as well, which is again why I use them. It's a very simple job to perform these. So with that in mind, then comes the next part, which is we need to create a we need to create an image to put on the video for YouTube. This makes it look a little bit more professional. It's relatively simple once again. Now, all we do is we put in the YouTube thing here, the YouTube logo, as the video segment, even though it's a still image. Then we take the snapshot 13 I have, set it to 5 intensity yet again, and we can move it wherever we want. Now, then we take the snapshot, which is this button right here, which creates the image that we are going to use in our video, or in the logo for our video on YouTube. So that's what it will show up as. But before we do that, we do have to delete both of these, and then we get to export the video, create video, and we will call this one Monster Hunter XX Switch example. Now we can see here that it is going to be 3.06 gigabytes, which is, well, the videos tend to be rather large, admittedly, when you use this process, but it is a extremely high quality, 60 frames per second, and the resolution is set to 1080. Now, of course, I do have my recording at 720, or the TV view is set at 720, if only because the frame rate issues of using 1080 mode on the Switch, but YouTube will consider it to be a 1080 when you do this. So let's go ahead and start the export, and I will be back when the video is done being made. Keep in mind it is 9:50 now. Okay, we have just finished creating the video here. As you can tell by the time, it is now 10:29, which means we spent almost, oh, now it's 10:30. So we've spent essentially 40 minutes making this video, which, keep in mind, originally only lasted 26 minutes and 53 seconds. You can actually tell right there. So it takes longer to make the video once you've got the editing done and all that than it does to actually record it. And this is a huge reason why why it actually can take so long for me to make videos. This is one big aspect that reduces the amount of videos you can actually make per day. And it's also why it can be a little bit of a hassle, admittedly speaking. Now, what's even worse is if you, of course, had a bad edit or something and needed to completely redo the video, we would have to go through that whole entire process yet again. Okay, so I forgot to mention a few things that are relatively important, and I decided I'll cover them by adding them in here. First of all, I'm recording the audio using the record audio function from Wondershare Filmora, which is relatively easy. It's right next to the take snapshot function of it. But secondly, something I should really mention is if you decide to use the GeForce Experience to record your gameplay, something that I would strongly suggest doing, especially with older games, or games that just in general run on a resolution typically different from the native resolution that you run on, is to start recording before you actually start the game. It will, the recording will go to your desktop folder, or it'll be labeled desktop rather than the specific game. However, if you try to play or try to start recording while in game, sometimes it can cause graphical issues, like the resolution will become far more pixelated and the footage will become unusable. I found, I've found this especially with games like Command & Conquer: Red Alert 2, but it is something that needs to be noted and it's something that you should be aware of. Now, also, if you decide with regards to the Take Snapshots button, there is a problem with that as well, and that is the fact that the Take Snapshot button in Wondershare Filmora the snapshot tends to be at a fairly low resolution. So if you want to use it's perfectly fine for a YouTube thumbnail image or something, but if you want to use it in the actual video that you're making, and it's something that you need high quality for, I would strongly suggest first simply make your video, and first and foremost, make your video without that. And then go into a player like VLC Player, which is completely free, and use it to take a snapshot. And it will display the snapshot in whatever resolution that you want. So yes, if you want to do something like that, that is how you do it. But anyways, so this is everything. I hope to see you guys again soon. Hope you found this interesting. Take care. Ace out.